Official Essentials channel. And today we are publishing some facts and documents, some evidence that our business model is catching on, and we having some people who are have already established their level of intellect in the fields of estate planning and some of the processes involving bills of exchange. And so, what we would like to do is one, do a little interest exchanging, all right? And what we mean by interest exchanging, we did some already, have already embarked upon our teaching, uh, an explanation, reading, and an explanation of the bills of exchange. And so this broadcast is effectively an example of the bills of exchange in action, okay? In action. For Eagle Legacy Dynasty Estate uh, has been set up to provide services for the family of the testator. And that particular trust is private. However, the private trust entity funds different investment packages that include benefits to the public. And for that purpose, Official Essentials is live to provide the services as far as estate development, because many people are wanting to purchase a home, but as opposed to many mortgage lenders who offer loans, we do not offer loans per se. What we do offer is services to assist our clients in setting up a full estate package, because we want our clients to engage in this type of activity with full understanding and not knowledge of their responsibilities as a homeowner, as well as their rights as a homeowner. Many of the cases that are being litigated in our court systems as we know it are cases that have been um, created because people are not knowledgeable of the importance of the processes involved with buying a house. They know it's a large purchase. They may understand that they have to uh, prepare themselves for the purchase in whatever manner that they deem necessary. Because I won't just say repairing your credit and all of that, because that's what a lot of people do. But I wouldn't even go so far as to say that's what most people do, because when people are operating in the private, that's not calculated. There's no consensus on that, okay, to say, okay, this is what's going on in the private, because it's in the private. You don't know that it's going on. You can't quantify that, okay? What you can do is see which processes have been processed in the public, okay? And for the most part, um, people who set up mortgage lending, private lending companies as with our organization, the only similarities that we have to those organizations is the category, okay, of being called or referred to or having to refer to ourselves as private lenders, because we are actually not private lenders, but that's the category of business in the public that no matter what we call ourselves, that is what we will be classified as in the public. Okay? But the point is that in the public, we are held to a certain minimum compliance standard to fully disclose what type of organization, how we function, and so forth. And so that's what we're doing. We're effectively disclosing our operations, and we're fully accountable in that regard. And so that aspect of it is not private in our dealings with the public. Okay, that seemed to may have been a commercial, but it's not a commercial. It's actually a necessary process in developing your business structure, and that's for anyone, to outline what you do and what you do not do. Okay? And so we are presenting by video a letter of explanation. We have a $20 million funding for essential property preservation, which is a trust entity that provides vouchers and funding for people who are seeking to purchase a home, as well as people who have already purchased a home and are in need of redemption, funding for redemption to get their home back, or to stop or to cancel out the foreclosure processes. Uh, if you redeem yourself, uh, then uh, then the foreclosure processes cannot proceed. And so, in that regard, that process is called redemption. And so, we assist people with redemption in that regard. We also assist people with redemption in probate court, which is a similarly situated circumstance. Because when you're dealing with home mortgages, that is a probate issue, and it's handled in probate court. And so the reason that we are referring to these instruments in a, a manner that's relating them to perhaps the deceased or decedent, that is what we're referring to, a dead entity. Um, the only thing that is living in the transaction is the interest that the person has in the contract. It's living, it's alive. You still have interest in it, okay? And along with that, the equity is alive, okay? So I wouldn't say the only thing, because they're one and the same. Equity and interest. They ride on the same train. They don't ride without each other. They are a dual accounting couple. They married to each other. Okay, So we got to understand when building estates or developing your estate, you got to understand what qualifies as an asset and what qualifies as um, a non asset. Okay, it's a gift. It may have value, but you um, determine that it is a gift. If you determine that it is a gift, then it can no longer be determined as an asset. If it is determined as a gift, then that gift has to be assigned to a receiver of the gift. Okay? Just the same as if you're giving credit to someone's works, you would provide the person's name to give proper credit. Okay? And so we'll find out in just a second why that's relevant. In this video, we're about to uh, critique a little bit, but also gather information and also see the perspective of the content creator. Because this is the original content, and he somewhat mentions me, but I don't think I've been following him that long, but I may have been following him for that long and not kept a track of it, because when you are engaging upon these processes, it's a lot of information to gather, okay? And during my gathering stages, of which I am still in a gathering stage, but in my preliminary gathering stages, I embarked upon different channels with a variety of information. I was in search of specific information unrelated to this particular uh, group or forum of information providers. What I mean by that is that there are a certain group of people that have similarly situated concepts about um, processing documents and displaying maturity. Okay, and so I need to be clear that I didn't embark upon these processes through looking for this type of information. I embarked upon these processes in the normal course of business. That's totally different. That was in a normal course of business and trying to get a full understanding of how to process documents and or how to fight my case in court, because I was already aware and have already um, represented myself in other cases and claims before I even embarked upon this whole community of people who's doing something totally different. And I don't ascribe to or subscribe to the channel to learn your way of thinking or to learn your process. I subscribe to different channels because I want to glean from your views of similarly situated processes. And we can learn from each other. The Bible says iron sharpened iron. Okay? So, yes, I am learning from Mansa channel, Youssef, KW Estate, Chris Hauser, and many more. But I also watch lawyers, real lawyers, and was in search of uh, documentation or video explanations by real lawyers. I subscribe to Steve Vaughn. He's a lawyer, a litigation lawyer. Lucinda, the advocate Lucinda, who is also a pro se litigant um, advocate. And so that's what her channel is about, teaching you how to advocate for yourself as a pro se. And so all of these contributors could make some claims to assisting me in my level and degree of knowledge, but what they cannot do is take credit for my status of knowledge at any given time, because I was knowledgeable and actually doing these processes without even knowing that that's what I'm doing. Okay, because I just didn't view it in that way. Okay, I'm getting a different view, a different perspective of what I have already effectuated. I've already been approved for a nonprofit status. Let's be clear here. And many of these people who are have these processes do not. So you can't possibly have the level of intellectual uh, insight that would give you a degree of knowledge that would be oversight or overstanding any information that I could provide, because of the fact that when I went to each person's channel, I noticed that some of the information that they are providing is incorrect. Now, if you can come to my channel and find that any of the information that's new to you that I have provided, or the critiques of someone else's information that I have provided, if you can prove that it is an incorrect critique, then you can say that you overstand me. But until then, I haven't had any rebuttal on my content. And so, as which it stands, um, I have superior intellect in this matter, as to which it stands. Ain't no other channel that's claiming to have superior intellect. And I would assume that that uh, Youssef would be the only one who could um, effectively um, make that type of either equivalent claim in degree of knowledge, or to overstand me, because he cold with it. I got to give him that. He cold with it. He understand the private and the public, and he do both. But he specialize in the private. Doesn't mean that he's oblivious of the public. That means he just chose to operate in one capacity and majority than the other. That's a sovereign choice he made. which seems very wise to me. And it's the only reason why I've continued to um, visit his channel to see if he has any update of information beyond my knowledge, because I'm expecting that he might. When I go to Mansa channel, that is not my expectation. My expectation is to refresh me on the information he has already provided. I have certain videos of his, I'll rewatch them because they contain content. I'll save them in our playlist for other people to patronize. And I'll rewatch it to see, why did I save this video? What content was pertinent in this video, worth me saving the content, because of the fact that a lot of times his content is not um, full of content rich um, information, and it's a lot of content that's irrelevant to me. I have to categorize how I consume his content. And I put it in a playlist to say, okay, when I want to find out about this information, I'll go refresh my memory as to what his perspective is on that. But I have gone to his channel when he was providing, uh, I wouldn't say incorrect information, but a viewer asked the question and he didn't have the answer. So I provided the answer in the comment section. Okay? And this is where he got the video concept. The content and the title in the video, the business model concept is what this is our business model concept that he is disseminating, and somewhat gave us credit for it. Okay?
For quite some time. All right. Get back on track. Yeah, it's a little better right here. Yeah, it's a lot, man. Yeah, that's why I had it plugged in. Alright. Okay, cool. So there's a lot of people that's getting remedy, getting results. So there's a woman that's been following me, for like 4 years. So she hasn't been able to get remedy, but she's been building clarity, right? Alright, so she says what she's been able to follow me from this year is what's made her being able to get remedy. So imagine following for 4 years. Now, I'm not saying that's how long it takes, all right, but that's how long it took her. Okay, she finally got to understand. She has finally got results. All right, so when she have time, I'm gonna have her come on here and talk. All right, because I want her to tell her testimony and give y'all exactly what she went through. Okay, because again, y'all, you never want to stop, okay? Never stop, all right? Just because it's hard and it seems difficult, it seems like you're not putting nothing together, all right? Always remember, stay the course. I know that sounds cliche as hell, Okay, I know it sounds cliche as hell, but stay the course. Okay, keep studying, keep building your understanding. Do not rush. Okay, if you literally don't send nothing out for the next 6 months, that is okay, family. Keep paying your bills how you been paying them. All right, while you build clarity, because there's going to be a point when you're going to have that conversation with the corporation. All right, you're going to have that conversation with the corporation when they're going to ask you, hey, what are you trying to do? What are you doing? All right, and one thing you don't want to do is be hesitant. A lot of us don't really know what we are doing. All right, meaning if your company calls you right now and say, hey, we received some documents, but we don't understand what you're trying to do.
Hold on. Now, this is what I'm saying by sometimes people are trying to relay something they got from the original creditor. That's why I needed to be there with him to explain this, because the way he's explaining is two different things. You saying you understand that these processes is difficult, and but you also saying, um, don't be scared, just move forward. Okay, but that's how people are embarking upon processing incorrect documents, and that's how people who, when you say no, just go ahead, move forward, that helps people to encourage them to act. Don't just be thinking about it for a long time or just watching videos for a long period of time. Need to be clear about that. That when you're saying go ahead and act, you're talking to the audience of people that have been around for a while, but you also need to be very specific. We got to be responsible with this information. This is like a silver bullet. You got to be responsible. This is a motherfucking hollow point right here. It's difficult for him to even explain that because he don't even know. This is a hollow point, man. It's a hollow point. It means you got to be holy to make this point. You got to be hollowed out. You got to have the right spirit, or else you'll be talking about it, but you can't really be about it. Like he's trying to say, don't just be talking about you have a right, but you don't know how to even exercise that right. So what difference does it make between you and knowing your right and the next person that um, actually um, don't know their rights, and they're experiencing the same hardship you experience? What difference? It has no difference. That's what he's saying. Okay, and he's seeing it in his own way. That's understood. But what I am trying to relay as the understanding is that people need to stop trying to explain somebody else's process, because what happens then is each person have sense enough to withhold some information to the point where you're going to need them. That's what the consultation purpose of the consultation setups, right? They're gonna release information to their constituents, program or whatever that they may buy. But I guarantee you, it's gonna be some shit in that program that no matter how simply you designed it, that person is going to have to reference you consult with you to get a full understanding of how it all ties in and how it all fits together. So just because I left a comment of how powerful I realized the power, how powerful the power of attorney was. It was just a mention on Mansa's show. I found that out on my own and created my own process based upon the understanding of the power of attorney. Okay? And the way we use the power of attorney is unique in nature to the point where he's going to explain how he would use it, but that's not really what unlocks the power because power of attorney can be contested if it does not contain um, additional backup evidence that has to go along with that power of attorney. And that's the power. It's like um, insurance to back up your insurance. It's assurance. It's assurance. It's not insurance, it's assurance. So I guarantee you he not gonna mention that, he not gonna explain that at all, and that has everything to do with the power. Because you can't explain something you did not originate. So he's gonna give you his perspective of what I meant by the power of attorney. Let's get it.
You see what I'm saying? So we got to be able to articulate. All right, we got to be able to articulate the meaning of. I think a lot of times we think it's gonna be A, B, C, D. All right, what I mean by that is I think a lot of us think if 100 of us do the same thing, we're gonna go through the same questions, and that's not true, family. Like, you gotta be ready always. Like, I remember getting a call from the president's office from what company was this? Capital One. All right, it was like 7:30 at night. All right, I'm in my drawers. I'm not prepared to talk about. You know what I'm saying? But I get the call, I'm like, what's this? Hey, yes, sir, we received all your communications. I'm like, oh, snap, it caught me off guard. Okay, but from that conversation, this was years ago. From that conversation, I was like, yo, I got to be on. All right, because I'm thinking they only gonna call me between 8 and 5. Okay, those are business hours. All right, but I got a call from 7:30 at night from Capital One's president's office, or the department. Okay, and they was asking, hey, we received your communications. We've been hearing your conversation that you've had with our other departments. What you're trying to do is not true. All right, you see what I'm saying? I was in my drawers like, I'm trying to endorse my bill. I want it, I'm like all over the place. I didn't have no strong foundation. Like, y'all have to be ready on Sunday. You got to be ready on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All right, fresh out your sleep with the slob on your mouth. All right, I'm talking about with the boogers.
The Bible say, be ready in season and out of season. We always discuss Bibles and bills together, so we understand the correlation between the two.
Then your nose crusty, you get that, hey, we got you, hello, oh yeah. You got to be able to stand. You got to lock it in. All right, it got to be in you, not on you. A lot of y'all is trying to look like you know what's going on. Sending documentation, yeah, it looks like you know what's going on. All right, but when they they call you and ask you, what are you trying to do? Even myself, I used to get, flustered. I used to get frustrated. And as soon as I say something like, I'm trying to do this, they be like, you can't do that. I get mad. I'd be like, who are you telling me? Who are you telling they can't? I started getting mad because I did not know how to properly articulate that moment. All right, we have to be mad. We have to be masters at de-escalating situations. Let me say it again. We got to be masters at de-escalating situations. Meaning, when we're talking to these corporations, all right, when they try to get us here, meaning, oh, you're wrong. You're a sovereign citizen. All right, we cannot get frustrated. I've done it myself, so I understand. It's easier said than done. All right, but when we're on them phones, y'all, if we ever receive a phone call from any department, we got to be cool, calm, collected. Cool, calm, collected. All right, let's role play right quick. All right, let's say I just sent off my endorse bills. I'm gonna do y'all some role play. So y'all make sure I'm gonna save this live, but make sure y'all get y'all some notes and write this down, because I'm about to give you the process on how it should flow. All right, I'm gonna give y'all a couple of moments to grab whatever pen you need, pencils. All right, I'm gonna give y'all exactly how the dialogue should go. All right, in a situation, I feel like what I would do. Okay? All right, comment 8 when you're ready. All right, and the scenario is gonna be a situation between. I'm gonna do 2 scenarios. First scenario is gonna be between a situation where you don't have the car yet and you're trying to get a car, or let's just say an account. I'm not even gonna say something specific. Let's say A is trying to get an account and B is a person that's already in the account. All right, how should this conversation look? All right, comment 8 when you're ready. All right, please, a disclaimer. Just because what you about to hear, what I'm about to say, that does not mean that you ready to make phone calls, family. Okay? I know a lot of y'all, okay, I'm ready. No, you're not. I'm going to go ahead and bust your bubble now. No, you're not ready. Okay? It took me years to get to having this understanding and articulation. All right? Now, A. Let's go over A. Let's say this person is trying to get into an account. Okay? The very first thing a person needs to understand is having a power of attorney. All right, write that down, family. Right, POA. That's the very first damn step to anything. All right, a POA. Go ahead and comment POA when you have wrote that down. POA. How do I deal with stress management? A whole lot of marijuana. That's how I deal with stress management. A whole lot of. Sometimes I feel like I'm robbing the wilderness with all the weed that's in my lungs. Man, you could build a forest. All right, but yeah, POA. POA is the very first thing that you need to focus on, because a power of attorney. Okay, and I've been knowing about power of attorney. I've been used, but I have never. I wasn't harping on the power of attorney like I should have. I was more focused on my instructions instead of focused on my power of authority. My power of authority. Let's all make an analogy. We're gonna say the power of authority is the horse. Our instructions is the wagon. Let me say it again. The power of attorney is our horse, and our instructions, our tender of payment, is the wagon. Did I make the power of attorney myself? No, I did not. I went to rocketlawyer.com and I let them folks do it for me.
No, that's
okay? So we're still on A.
Wait. Now, see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? He said that real fast. because he don't really got a full explanation on that part. Um, a lot of things he doesn't have uh, the competence level to draft his own documents, for example. So that's why he advocates for the people who um, also not good at paperwork like in that capacity. Um, he makes suggestions for you to use services like Rocket Lawyer to create your document. However, that reduces the power. That reduces the power. You got to understand that that reduces the power. It's contestable and it reduces the affirmation level. Okay? In other words, if your opponent has an affidavit or a letter of rogatory that is written by their hand, look at the rules and the regulations that are in common law authority. Okay, this is why you can effectuate a contract written on paper on a paper napkin, and then some people haven't even been able to effectuate a contract written out by a lawyer, and it was deemed null and void because of how it was drafted. You got to understand that. It's because of how it was drafted. I specifically um, made a comment of my proprietary information on his channel to help him to better provide a more powerful, intuitive uh, contracting. Okay, that's the power of attorney, the intuitivity of it. And so, when there isn't any intuition involved, it doesn't uh, com- you cannot effectuate your competence by using the competence of someone else. That is the power of authority. You saying power of attorney. Let me clarify what it actually is. It's not a power of attorney. What you have effectuated and are given instructions to do is a power of attorney. What we specialize in is the power of authority. Remember, it's always two sides. Got the private and you had a public. What you did was a public instrument. My power of attorney is a private instrument. Even when the lady looked at it and she saw what kind it was, she only looked further to make sure that it had the proper elements in it to effectuate the document and what type of document it was. And she understood that this ain't no ordinary power of attorney. This right here is a power of authority. She said, you even You already notarized that you a bad bitch. You understand? Because I understood and I thoroughly got an understanding, thanks to Mansa, by pointing me in the direction of the bill of exchange. Okay? Because that's what helped me when I read the what the bill of exchange described as a notary. Then I watched other videos of what people was explaining what constitutes as a common law notary. Okay, and so sometimes people are doing things they don't even know what it is and what they are doing. That's just like I have been effectuating all these type of documents the whole time and didn't specifically know this perspective of those documents. Let's be clear. But I'm not just now filing no documents when I started watching your video. I only started watching videos because I had interest in pursuing litigation. I was already ready to act, baby. I was already ready to act. I'm looking up all the laws and statutes and shit. Already understood that. I studied the law on my own, going to the law library, learning what I want to learn, looking up patents and shit. Nah, you ain't just learning me nothing. I've been at this since the giddy up, the giddy up 98, 1998. I got documents. I have all different types of businesses documented. When you see DNA, that is not generic at all. I have a business called DNA, Dynamic Natural Alterations. Documented, well documented. Way back 19 something. We in the 2000s, sweetie. So let's be clear. Let's please be clear. I'm bona fide. And I got evidence to back up everything I'm telling you. So this why you don't see nobody come for me. Don't nobody come for me. My word is bond. We got to learn what that means. Word is bond. Real talk. And that's what a power of authority is. A power of authority. I walk in authority of the truth. The Bible said there is no other authority but the authority in the truth. I'm paraphrasing. But the authority is in the truth and in no other. It don't have nothing to do with your belief system or none of that. It's what can be verified. And I got properties out the giddy up. And I don't care if I had one view, that means I have one witness. That's what that means. I have one witness, which I can summon. I have one witness. And if you don't even have any evidence, because I do know that on these video options, YouTube used to allow you, and they probably still do if you accessing your dashboard by a laptop interface, a computer. It gives you more options as a creator, and so you can go in there and you can change your dates to backdate it and say This footage is from back in, you know, way, just go back some years or whatever. And so what you're essentially reporting is that you're playing a replay of some data that was created a long time ago and just wasn't publicized or what have you, or you're just doing a replay, a cut of it, or whatever. That's what you're effectively supposed to be indicating when you go backwards like that. You're not supposed to be creating a new video and then backdate it to try to deceive the public that you created this content from a long time ago. Because then what happens is you're not understanding when you uploaded your video, it had a date on it. That's going to tell us the origin of it, that thing. And if it is indeed old footage, then we'll also have documentation in your previous videos that you can refer to, most certainly. If that being the case. Because I do understand sometimes people get the same ideas or whatever, and that somebody could originate their idea on their own somewhere else. But that is very unlikely because Google has us connected. So you got some explaining to do. If a person was to claim that they didn't get the content from our channels, that would be the scenario. This is not the case. He's slightly giving us some credit. He's also disclaiming that this is his perspective of the information I was trying to relate to him and his constituents that was questioning. Um, I don't remember what the questions was, but that was my response. And so I guess he must have gave it some thought as he is giving us some insight to his thought about it. Okay?
There's a person that's trying to get into an account. All right, you need to focus on the power of attorney because you have to have authority to act on the consumer's behalf. Remember, the consumer is the all caps name or the government name that we have to give. All right, when we're trying to get a car, we're trying to get a house, we're trying to move into an apartment, you're trying to get that credit card, you're trying to get those food stamps. All right, whatever it is, you provide a government name. So the government name is the consumer. We have to understand that, y'all. All right, I wasn't going to do a class today, but forget it. Let's go ahead and do a class right here, right now. All right, understanding that the consumer is the government name. All right, the living person, meaning the person that y'all looking at right now, I'm the living, and I act on my consumer's behalf. All right, so we have to understand there's two people acting on behalf of one. There's the living, and then there's the dead. All right, I operate on behalf of the dead, meaning my all caps name is just simply a name. It's not a living vessel unless I do the obligations on behalf of that dead entity. Now, comment 8 if that makes sense, because I don't want to move forward without that making sense. Comment 8 if that makes sense. Comment 7 if that makes no sense. Comment 7 if that makes no sense. Alright, seems like everybody know. We're still on. For everybody that's coming in, we're doing the scenario. What should articulation look like for a person that's trying to get into an account? Alright, so now let's say I'm going and trying to get into an account. This account could be a car, house, All right, one size fits all once you understand what's going on. All right, so now I need to have a power of authority, okay, between myself, the living, all right, and my government name, which is the consumer, which is the principal. Okay, all right, so I'm saying it again. So when I do a power of attorney, my power of attorney, all right, yes, the IRS doesn't need a power of attorney because they already know who's power of attorney. We're talking about power of attorney is going to the banks, all right, the finance managers, the finance companies. This is not for the IRS. The IRS already has a 2848, all right, that you can fill out. But we're talking about specifically a power of attorney for our accounts that we are doing business with the banks. All right, remember, y'all are listening to me right now, okay? So please remember, everybody has their different way of looking at it.
Right. And so, no, I can't say what he's trying to do is make sure that if you follow his instructions, you don't blame him when you use other people's processes in combination with his. But all he needs to do is release his understanding of it and say clearly, this is what to expect if you stick to this. If you do incorporate other people's processes or see where they merge, then you're on your own with the liability of the turnout. Okay? You're on your own. That's the choice you make, but you bear the responsibility of that choice because that's not the same as following my instructions. And so he's just trying to have a dividing line in his conversation of liability. But however, um, people are realistically gonna miss processes anyway. Because, like I said, you can do something and not even know what you're doing. You don't even know you're mixing processes. Um, and some processes do merge. It's not mixing processes, they merge into each other. You can't speak about the private without incorporating some level of the understanding of the public. You just can't. In order to understand either or, whether you have you're teaching private processes, um, that would require you to differentiate between the private and the public so that whoever you're teaching understand that just because you use the word private, that doesn't it make something private. As in the regard, if you label something confidential, okay, it's confidential as long as it don't create no problems for nobody else. In other words, you can't be disseminating a plan to take over the government and talking about they shouldn't have been invading your privacy. Come on now. Privacy is to an extent in any regard. So, in order to even explain it, you must understand the public. What is public? We all live in the public. The public is where a person's perception is. It's in the public, where they can perceive your existence, your manifested existence. This is how a person can say you took action. You did this, you did that. Why? Because they perceived it something they can perceive by sight or by their senses, one of their senses. The manifestation of anger and so forth. Okay? So, or what we categorize as anger. So, in that regard, that's a good example. Somebody can say, I perceived that you was angry, but you might not have been angry. Then you have a rebuttal to their perception because only you can determine what you actually were feeling at the time. You have firsthand knowledge of how you felt. You might not even been angry. You might have just been disappointed. You might have been hurt. That's a different type of emotion than anger. Okay? Being hurt or being disappointment doesn't have a presumable uh, reaction that would be harmful. It's like a hold harmless clause. That the intent is not there for to be considered as anger. The intent to do harm is not there. You have to have intent to do harm or action to do harm. You got to have one of the two, intent or action. You can have both. You can have intent and action. The action proves the intent, right? The reason why the intent count is because a lot of times when you have an intent to do something, you gonna do it. Even if you didn't accomplish exactly what you wanted to do, if somebody catch you in the act of doing it, that's what attempted murder charges for. You was finna do it because that was your intentions. All right. So if you trying to teach a minor, and let's be clear, Mensa course is mostly geared for the minors. They need that. It's a beginner course for them. Even though he's really advanced in the beginner category, they need to understand that, okay, you see him as advanced. All right? Since you see him as advanced, first learn his level. He don't need to be trying to teach them no higher level. See, that's a higher level of understanding. You're trying to teach a lower level audience. And you won't even understand it. It's why you're giving suggestions for people to use ChatGPT and all these other devices that contaminate the instrument. This is why we got to learn about Bibles and bills so you can understand what contamination is. You contaminate the evidence. What happens? It can be objected to based on that contamination. That can be a reason that it's inadmissible because it's contaminated. And the power that you're speaking of is not powerful to anyone. I said and I meant it. All the promises in the book ain't yours. All of them ain't yours. So that is inclusive of anyone who tries to effectuate documents that are spiritual in nature. Okay, this is why your understanding is blocked, and you are limited to having someone else create your document. Because you wouldn't know what to put on that document for it to be effective and as powerful as uh, the one that I have created and designed. And I didn't even put the full private document inside ChatGPT because I have knowledge to know not to do that, that it will contaminate my document. So what I did was I started a letter of estoppel to ChatGPT to let them know any information I do put in here is proprietary, and then proceeded on because I understand contamination. Once I saw that ChatGPT was contaminating my documents, I ceased the use of their product. I was building a whole law firm on their platform, and I saw very quickly that they were not trustworthy. Now we back to discussion about deeds and trust. See, we never left off the topic. Just because we didn't specify that that's what we're talking about, that does not mean that that is in fact what we're talking about. Deeds and trust. What you did and the trust you violated in your deeds. That's what contract law is all about. And that's what Manson teach, contract law. Let's be clear, not common law. Do not mix the two. He is telling you not to mix the two while doing the same thing. These are not the same thing. They are, but they aren't. And so that's why people are asking um, him, should I get the IRS form with the power? Because, see, they aware of other stuff. And that's the 2848. I didn't know the number, but he just said the number, I think 2848. But I know my shit. Yeah, they. And I've already had broadcasts concerning this matter, so we'll need to uh, re-examine that. But I will briefly point out um, one of the consistent themes that is involved here, and that we need to understand that it's always involved, and that's the private and the public. The power of attorney is in the private. That is a private matter. It's not public. So I don't know what type of instructions she finna give. We finna find out. But we already know we set off on the wrong course. We do know that. Now, what way this vessel, this ship gonna end up sound like a shipwreck when you're mixing uh, these two. You got to know how to mix them. Got to know where they intersect at. Now, I don't profess to know all the ways that they intersect, but I guarantee you, if you present an angle to me, I know what law governs that. Guaranteed. Because I'm learning by the day. I make sure that I learn by the day. I make sure that I'm increasing in knowledge and understanding by the day. Because there are so many different aspects and degrees of learning. There's degrees to this. That's why they call it a law degree or a learning degree. Okay? You have a degree of knowledge in that area. So, in this regard, power of attorneys have degrees by themselves, have degrees of knowledge and understanding that needs to be understood before you can go running off trying to tell other people how to create power of attorneys and how to use those documents. Because he asked the audience, do this make sense? And my answer to you is no, sir, it do not. It didn't make sense to you when you said it because you ain't know what you was talking about. That's why. Come on now. What are we doing here? Don't do that to yourself. I see how confident you are when you speak concerning um, your process. You can tell you created that process. You have the confidence of a creator when you speak on it. But when you're trying to add other people's stuff in, it don't sound quite right. It just don't sound quite right. I believe that Nelson needs to stick to his root concept, hood consumer law. Hood consumer law. He let you know he hood with it. He business, but he hood with it, you dig? He tatted up, you know what I'm saying? Look like a rapper. He is a rapper. He rap a little bit. I like some of his songs, especially that song he say, uh, watch me turn my bills, bills, bills into a check, check, check. I like that. I mean, that was my, when I was learning, that was um, inner theme song for me. It was an inner theme song for me because I have my own songs within me, but he transferred the understanding with that song to a point that it just became like a little chant, when I'm uh, stamping and writing and signating and all of that and endorsing and all that. I'm watching my bills, bills into a check, check, check. Hey, I can get jiggy with that. Do your thing. Why you stop even doing your music? Seem like Manson stop doing his music. Now he only want to talk like he Mr. Guru. Stay in your lane. You're a hood nigga. Be a badass motherfucking hood nigga. That's what you is. A badass motherfucking hood nigga. You turned the streets into a professional, honorable thing. Stay in your lane, though. Stay in your lane. You out of your lane over here in power of attorney lane, a power of authority lane. Stay in power of attorney lane, and by um, effectuating the power of attorney through Rocket Lawyer, you already placed yourself in power of attorney lane. Please know that. If you do not, if you want to be your estate to be independent, I repeat, do not use Rocket Lawyer. Do not. You understand? These secret chambers. Do not. Whatever you do, do not. effectuate a power of attorney through Rocket Lawyer or any other online source. Do not do that. It is better for you to have a personal attorney if you're going to have a professional to do that. The reason why I said personal attorney is because if you just pick somebody because they said they do powers attorneys and they'll draft them for you, then that ain't nothing personal going on there. They don't have intimate knowledge of you and your estate matters. Needs to be personal. Needs to be personal. This is why we're providing personal services. Each client that applies for a loan through our agency receives custodialship uh, representation. And what that is a custodialship over their financial estate because they're building an estate. They're not just purchasing a home, they're building an estate. And so Manson's processes is not even about building no estates. Stay in your lane. Don't worry about telling nobody how to build no estate. You don't know nothing about that. You don't even know how to do that for yourself. You don't even know how to hire some damn employees. Talking about you got to be careful with people's private information. Man, come on. They got people that's required by law to handle this shit properly. Put the burden and shift the burden on them. That's a burden shift like a motherfucker. A lawful burden shift. And it's still private. Because you can hire a company that on its face have to represent themselves as if they are you. Hi, this is Hubert with Hood Consumer Advisors. I'm calling in reference to your account that we have created to, or the contract that we have for services. Okay? And they have to address your clients in that manner on your behalf. Start learning that. The stuff you don't know. That you been should have had. Like a motherfucking website and shit. You should have been had that. Ain't nobody trying to hear all them excuses about why you don't have that yet. You got the access to the money, the funds. You know how to manipulate the paperwork. Let's get her done, baby. I'm just now finding out about this stuff, and I got all kind of shit I done since then. What you talking about? I done went way past that. What you talking about? I didn't get remedy. What are you saying? I've been getting remedy the whole time. I didn't understand that it was remedy. You don't understand that if you think a person don't have remedy, you have remedy the whole time. Sometimes. In some people's situations that I've seen when they explain their personal predicament, they had the remedy the whole time. For example, people in foreclosure. You had the remedy the whole time, your coupon. What do you mean, get remedy? You don't get remedy. You got remedy. You got people to understand they got it already. See what I'm saying? Let me tell my story. And she hadn't gotten remedy and this and that. I never said I hadn't started the process. I had already started the process. You come in on when I'm litigating this shit. Come on now. I'm already litigating. When you said you need to litigate, I was like, okay, I'm past that. I need to know what grounds of which I'll be standing on. I had already, from first, like a couple of videos of Mansas, I was on that shit. It didn't take no 1,000 videos, watching him every day for a week and 2 weeks and all of that shit. I ordered a damn stamp. I downloaded the bill of exchange. When he said download it, don't be just watching me. Go to the bill of exchange. I went to, found a PDF download that motherfucker like 2, 3 times in my files to make sure I had it, because it didn't seem like it had downloaded. It downloaded so quick. But I also uh done some things he didn't instruct when I did download it, and that's proprietary to us. That's what power of attorney is. That, I mean, a power of authority is. He gave us some instructions, and that was helpful in guiding us to uh, what laws govern the type of products that we that we have interest in and have invested in, and was seeking to litigate the matter if we could not find a solution, you know. And so I was just seeking to forward those processes and come across these type of because the pro se litigants are the most uh, knowledgeable in, when you want to talk about degrees of knowledge, pro se's, they just more fervent because they're driven, when we seeking for this information, we're seeking for it with a purpose, and it's personal to us, right? Remember I was saying about the power of attorney needs to be personal, all right, to really have power. I was watching a court case the other day, and we had it on the channel, and you can go back and see some of the court cases that we review to give some insight on what's going on in the litigation, the actual litigation process, questions that's asked, documents that are raised as evidence, what qualifies it as evidence, what grounds are they standing on, and so forth like that. It's called standing in jurisdiction. Check that out. But in there, the judges will ask questions, and I noticed when one of the banks represented had represented that the bank, um, the plaintiff represented that the bank did not provide the correct name on the complaint to have standing in their case. So the court gave leave for them to change the name. They changed the name. But when you change the name, the corresponding evidence needs to have the exact same name that's on the complaint. Okay, that's called a procedural error. The name's got to be correct. Got a punctuation. He pointed out it was called U.S. National Bank Trust full stop. And then they put U.S. National Bank Trust. Okay, why does that matter? The difference. It matters. because that's a whole nother different name. And he understood that. He pointed that out to the court. So the judge tried to circumvent that point, but it still stands because that's a fact that has to be addressed. It was a significant enough change to be a different entity. Also, the name that they changed it to did not match the name on the note as far as the person who had original rights to the note. Okay? And to show that the person that had original right to the note, which was Bank of America, and signed it over to U.S. Bank Trust Loan Company or whatever. Okay, and so all they did was sign over a note to themselves, because that's their business too, the trust company, and held the note in a trust, a land trust, to try to have some protections and some power to be able to litigate on that loan. And they place it in a pooling agreement to leverage the debt, okay, and reflect it as a value. And this is what's on those audits. The audit, the four MERS mortgage audits, it'll show you that your account has, your note has been placed, your mortgage has been placed in a pool. And I said those separate. I said and. I didn't say your note is placed, your note and mortgage. I didn't say them together because they say them together to make you think it's one thing. Now they do uh, are supposed to travel together as one. You're not supposed to split them and do all of that. Once they do all that, they lose rights. And that's why he was pointing that out. That all your power of attorney did was show that you lost the right to stand it. That's all it did. Got to be careful with these power of attorneys. They can do the opposite of what you intended it to do. So their power of attorney effectively was supposed to show that Bank America had the initial right, and they sold the asset or the debt to U.S. banking services, and not services, U.S. banking trust. And so they was trying to use U.S. banking trust to say, okay, we're going to move this asset over into this account, into this business, and say this this is a debt, and we assigned this debt to this company to take care of this, and that's what they are, a debt taking care of company. Well, if they're a debt taking care of company, then they can set that shit off if that's what they do. Then they need to learn how to file the proper documentation to set that shit off. They trying to get paid two ways because a lot of times they done already set it off. And that's what gives you um, the power to litigate, but you got to be able to prove that on paper that they set it off. Need to check further into the IRS. That's the reason for the power of attorney from the IRS. Yes, you do need that. You'll take that and you'll staple that to your power of attorney. You'll say this will give you all the input C attachments. Fill out the necessary information that you want to fill out, and then you can put a reference statement, which I use often the words "see attachments," okay? Because that makes reference to your original documents. And so he said, no, you don't use the, yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's why you don't need to be teaching people about this. You don't know nothing about this. Let me handle this part right here. Send them over my way. I'll explain the power of attorney. That's what we doing over here. That's all we do over here is power of authority. What power of authority do you have to speak on a matter? That's what alpha intellect is. That is the essential elements of alpha intellect. Who has the higher authority on this matter? Who is more knowledgeable or has in-depth knowledge or a higher degree of understanding, not learning, understanding. Because you can learn to regurgitate what somebody else said, but you never did really understand it to say it in your own words. That's why you have to have a rocket lawyer or any one of these um, companies to help you draft a instrument. And I've had lawyers to get mad at me because I told them I don't need you to draft no instruments for me. All I need you to do is to look over and make sure it's if you have any suggestions as to what could be added on, now take it under consideration. I take that shit under consideration and see where I can implement that in my own words. But for you to just reword my document, oh no, that's not what we're doing here. That's why I don't like ChatGPT. Don't reword my document. You done changed the whole meaning of it after you done reworded it. What are we doing here? How is it an authentic document if you forging my understanding I'm trying to relay here? Don't forge my understanding. That's not how that goes. That's property of Eagle Legacy Dynasty Estate. Property of Eagle Factory, private foundry. It's well documented, but it's private. Okay? But it's well documented. Thank you. We have 113 subscribers. Hey, nah. Let's get it, community.
Alright? Folk, listen to me right now. Okay? I understand folks have their way of doing it. Everybody is right. Okay? But when you're listening to who's speaking, you have to kind of listen to what they're saying. Alright? If not, you might want to leave because I don't want y'all kind of mixing processes. Alright? And that's what happens a lot. So this power of attorney is getting sent to the bank. There needs to be a power of attorney on file with the bank. Now, if it's a apartment, let's say, well, what if it's an apartment? It's my apartment. You need to have this power of attorney with the property managers. Okay? All right, so let's keep going. So we need to have a power of attorney between the living, which is the agent, and a power of attorney between the principal. I ain't said nothing. I'm gonna wait till the video clear up. get back squared away.
I don't know my patience is running. I'm trying to figure out what the heck is happening.
Alright.
Almost.
Alright, what about now? We good? Alright, we good?
We
Alright,
good.
cool. Alright, so remember, power of attorney. Alright? We're still talking about Exhibit A. Alright, for everybody that's just coming in, we're doing two examples. How the articulation should look if somebody's trying to get into an account, and how the articulation should look for somebody that's already in an account. This could be a car account, house, apartment, credit card, it doesn't matter. Alright, so let's go off A. Alright, so A, remember, I'm trying to go get a car. So what do I need to do? Alright, I need to find out what kind of car I want. Okay, I'm gonna go get the buyer's order. Alright, I'm gonna get that buyer's order. I'm taking that buyer's order home. I'm gonna take the application home if I can. Okay, I'm gonna come back with that application with a power of attorney. Now, why is the power of attorney so important? Because remember, it is not my car. It's not my car. We have to stop going there and saying, this is mine. We got to stop sounding like babies. Remember, we're doing business for our principal. That's not your car. That's not your house. That's not your apartment. Okay? It's not yours. Everybody that's just going to make sure y'all come back, go out and come back in if it's still froze. Come back, go out and come back in. Family, it's not anything. You can't help anything with Instagram, family. I'm on Instagram. It's not this. It's Instagram. I guess it's the connection. I got like 2 bars against the wind. I don't know. All right. So y'all, yeah. So make sure y'all go out and come back in. All right. So let's keep going. So remember, the car that you're going to get is not your car. Whose car is it? Whose car is it?
Oh man, come on. What's going on with people?
Somebody said it's the account's car. Well, who owns the account? It's the principal. Exactly. It's the principal's car. It's the principal's house. All right? Somebody said the bank's car. The hell you talking about, man? Get out of here, man. Ain't no damn bank's car. It's the principal's car. Everything is on the behalf of the principal. It's not the state's. It's the principal, family. All right, everybody. I want everybody to comment principal, 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 principal. We got to eradicate this debtor mindset. All right? Your car belongs to the principal. Your house belongs to the principal. Your credit card belongs to the principal. We already have trusts set up. The name of the trust is the name of the principal, which is our estate. Okay? Your car is owned by the principal. You are the mere agent acting through the principal. When you establish that, and when your articulation puts the highlight on the principal and not you, guess what? Now your credit doesn't get ran due to a credit score. Because you can't judge my principal. You can't judge me off a credit score if it's not for me. It's for my principal.
Okay, that's a bit much. That's a bit much with a lot of gaps in it, but basically what he's talking about is he's effectively trying to verbalize a letter of explanation to you. He's explaining by video, and he's creating the circumstance of the letter so you understand the perspective that you will be coming from, okay? When creating a letter explanation or uh, a letter um, addressing what it is your intentions to do, okay? And so what he is speaking on is the redemption, um, or the reversal of the redemption process, okay? Because what has already occurred is that when you were unable and deemed as incompetent to handle these matters before now, if you uh, pass the age of maturity, I believe it's 20, 21, whatever it is, 18, I believe it started at 17. But if you're past the age of 17, uh, or any one of 17, between 17 and the age of 21, which is the legal age now of maturity, okay, for consumption of alcoholic beverages. But you are considered as an adult at 18. And so that's what we're basing this upon, the age you're considered mature. So from that age to whatever age you are right now, at this point in time in life when you come across this video, okay, whatever age you are, you overgrown. You know how people say an overgrown baby? You're an overgrown baby. That's what you've been deemed as, an overgrown baby, which is deemed incompetent. Okay, everybody has seen someone. We call them retarded. We call them all kinds of different titles. All right, mentally challenged. We try to be politically correct with it or whatever. But people who have less understanding or capacity than you to be independent, then they are deemed as like babies. But there's still a whole category of adolescents that's considered a child, okay? Or to be uh, a minor. Let's not use the word child. I'll explain that later. Okay, to be considered as a minor, anything that's under a certain age is considered as a minor. Okay? Um, when you're talking about a contract, whatever term your contract was for, it's mature once that term is over. It's matured. It's a matured security interest. If you've been living, I'll give you a good example. This is why we don't really need to get into power of attorneys and all of that kind of stuff. That's not necessary. All you need to do is mature and understand the numbers, the booking system, the accounting. That's one thing Massa helped me with, was to not get into all of that uh, birth certificates and all that kind of stuff and get off track of getting the understanding about billing. And that's what he specializes in, the bills of exchange and how to maximize it as a minor. Do it as a minor, and then you'll grow and mature to a level of litigation, and all of that will come along with the process. First, begin as the minor. You are a minor, but begin in minor stages. Uh, when I was uh, ready, and which wasn't long after I just watched a couple of videos, and wasn't too many times you're going to tell me how stupid I am uh, for paying a bill, and I'm already very frugal with any of my expenses. And so everything is mapped out, everything has its place. I'm very particular uh, with adding any other accessories to or expenses to my overhead. When I start a business, that's the reason why I'm able to start so many businesses. I'm very particular about overhead because when you design a business where you have a lot of overhead, that allows the potential opportunity for some type of books to not be balanced properly, you forget to pay a vendor, and something goes awry. So many of my products can be operated, um, they operate themselves. They're designed to do that. And so, in that regard, um, that's what they refer to as self-sustaining entity, a self-sustaining entity. You don't have power of authority if you're not a self-sustaining entity. If you have to get instructions from Mansa, me, somebody else, you are not a self-sustaining entity if you have to. In other words, you don't even know where you could result uh, if Mansa channel and all his videos was restricted off of YouTube. Oh Lord, what would I do? You know, because it's not anyone else teaching what he teaches, not the way he does it. Okay? You're like, oh, what would I do? Well, you already learned some things. Go from there. Start looking up who got information on the bills of exchange. When I didn't want to tolerate all that other extra stuff, that's what I would do a lot of times. I would just go to his video, find out what he's saying today that I don't know, and then go research it. Because I don't have time for content that's not feeding me. And some of your personal experiences can help me if they're relative to the topic. If they're relative to what I need to know, I want to hear all your personal experiences. That's what I'm here for. Because I ain't trying to listen to nobody ain't never filed now damn paper. That is a minor indeed. They don't even have confidence enough in themselves to even figure out of all the information that's provided online that you mean you determine that all these people got to be crazy? Come on now. And people even presenting their court cases and so forth. Come on now. There's got to be some substance to it. Now, some people do display this product as a conspiracy theory type of atmosphere. And that's what kind of throws people off. I know it throws me off. I was like, I do know that it's a lot of stuff going on that's crazy. They do stupid stuff. So I can relate to that. But as it pertains to this document, I came to find out about this document. It's like a lot of the 1099A videos. Ain't nothing but a 1099A lure. Ain't shit on there about 1099A. They might mention 1099A, but they ain't giving you now damn instructions or none of that. What the hell? All you doing is trying to sell your um what you call it? In and that irritated me. But it irritated me enough to say, instead of buying your product, all I'm gonna do is go call the IRS and find out my own in-depth knowledge about it. Then I don't never have to come to your channel again because I don't appreciate them kind of lures. I really don't. And I don't, I already, if you have good content, you don't even have to ask or beg. I'm going to subscribe. That ain't nothing to subscribe. People shouldn't have to beg people to subscribe. Please subscribe. If you listen to my video, go on subscribe. If you listen to it for more than 5 minutes, you need to go on like it. Because you obviously liked it enough to stay for 5 whole minutes. If you stay for more than 5 minutes, you might as well go on shit. You got you some goodies out of there. Guaranteed. Something you really enjoyed that you can share with somebody else. That's the chain of command. That's the chain of authority. That's what the power of not attorney, but the power of authority consists of. Your action, what gives you authority is what you do and how you do it. I have the authority and the right to instruct you to act in this manner, and the authority to say this qualifies as uh, sovereign. It's a solvent reigning. That's what sovereign means. Meaning you know how to make decisions on your own when you in that circumstances because you learned it from somewhere. Whether you got a piece here, a piece there from other people, different people channels and the information that they're providing, you got the information from somewhere. And if you like me, after you done watched the vast amount, you even forget where you got the information from to be clear to give credit back to. So what I do is, if I remember exactly where, I say so. If I don't, I'll say, you know, who provides that type of information that I'm aware of in general, and then I got everybody covered just by not being selfish, just by appreciating that they're providing information to give them a shout out as to where I acquired some level or degree of understanding concerning these documents. And it was just a degree. And yes, I'm going to point that out because I have effectuated documents that none of y'all ain't done. So that's fair to say. And even when I started doing the type of documents y'all done, it didn't take me long before I figured out I didn't need to do none of that. And I see people who admittedly went through processes that was unnecessary. After I seen a pattern of people testifying that they followed some particular process and in the process that they followed initially, they figured out that somewhere along the line on their own that they didn't even need to do all that. Or maybe somebody brought it to their constituents in the comment section, might have brought it to their attention. In the same regard as I did with Master to help him shed some light on the power of attorney. Okay? And in that regard, we all are doing information exchange. It's an information exchange. That's all. It's an information exchange. And everybody need to bona fide the authenticity of their creations so that it be understood who is providing authentic information. That's my purpose. I want to punch you in the right direction of who providing what, but I want to be responsible with just doing that. And I just tell you, go over to such channel and carelessly send you over there without any understanding that of what you're gonna be encountering when you get over there. What type of information you should expect when you get over there. All right. And so we're gonna do shout outs to our subscribers or channels we've subscribed to. And because this is the information sharing system, that's what we specialize in, sharing comments. Comments with uh, content rich value. Okay? Valuable. Eagle Legacy. All right. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go on over to the channel. Say bye to Mansa for now. And what we're going to discuss in this portion of the broadcast is
the letter of explanation, or the LOE as we call it in the business, right? So on the lending side for home financing, the borrower fills out an application. They submit the documentation. The thing that's missing is really an explanation, a place to describe or leave notes on your story as a home buyer. So how do we achieve that? Well, we create an official document, send it to the borrower that explains whatever the situation might be. Maybe, again, it's a job transfer, and that's how we can say, or it's remote employment, remote work, and so it doesn't matter where you're located. We need to explain that in the file, why you're buying a house out of state. Maybe it's the way your funds come into your account. Maybe there was a period of unemployment. All these different things. Anytime we need to explain something in the loan application submitting to the underwriter, we do it through an LOE or a letter of explanation. Call me, John You're at the Right Home Mortgage, to understand the process. The letter of explanation, or the
LOE. The LOE, letter of explanation. All right? Please understand that that is a process used for people who are purchasing a home and you're wondering what is going on in the background when your agent or representative is um, telling you to provide additional information and you just follow their instructions and you may not um, contest providing the information, but you may have some questions. Okay? And the reason you would want to question what's going on is because each uh, part of the process, they're submitting documents and trading documents and moving instruments on your behalf. And a lot of times they'll just tell you like it's a notification, but not really address the severity of the process that's, you know, going on in the background. And so that's what he's describing is what is going on in the background for you to receive your loan, your mortgage through the financial institution process. Okay? So when you are submitting your application to our lending source, you need to understand that it is a process. And this is why many times it takes time for you to close on your house because uh, maybe there's some unorganization. Maybe somebody's unorganized in the different steps that it takes procedurally to close on a house, okay? Because it's a very serious matter that has to be documented in probate court. And there are very strict rules that govern these processes. And whether you're doing it in the private or in the public, there are public protections that are in place that says that you may create your contract in the private, but it's still, if there's an issue, then is how we handle it when you bring it to the public, when you bring it to court. This is how we're going to handle it. It's rules. In Texas, I am very familiar with our Texas property code and the differences in the laws and administrative process for residential and the violations and or perimeters for properties that are zoned or categorized as commercial. Now, what people not understanding when you're living in apartments uh, or you're purchasing a home, then those both are considered a commercial category. Whether that person knows it or not, they are now required by law and are responsible for some commercial level of authentication in commerce. If you're a renter, you need to have an occupancy permit in your municipality stating that the property is in safe and habitable condition. If you do not have that in place, your tenant can sue for that. Okay? And that's just one of the examples of how people they'll rent to somebody not even knowing they're supposed to have an occupancy permit, or they'll sue somebody for rent not knowing that that person can raise that as a valid claim against them, and then they no longer have standing as a landlord. Period. Without that, okay. So that's the law in Texas. But what I am saying is this: is that when you're creating documents, you need to understand what grounds you're standing on first before you even understand what this document is being created for. And the letter of explanation does that for you. Okay, that is what it's for. The lawyer is in the background. He's typing up a letter of explanation. And he know you don't know all the proper terms and everything that need to be in that document. So he in the background just a typing. Now his assistant just a typing this up and typing up that. But they're creating different documents to effectuate the closing of the house. And this is one of the documents that is needed um, to explain the deal, to explain to the court what's going on with this money. This is what's happening. Uh, we approve uh, this person for this amount of money. This person approved this person for this amount of money to help her with a down payment, to help the buyer with a down payment, because they have down payment programs. And so when they got all them kind of different hands in the pot, they have to send an explanation of why all these hands is in the pot. This is what's going on. Um, the buyer has some work history that was requested by the lender as a qualification to um, uh, for the loan, and this and that. And so this is what's all going on. I'm handling this. I'm the lawyer. I'm handling this. Um, this is what I did. I provided for reference on behalf of my client. The client has submitted their bank statements to verify income. The buyer has submitted for the record their um, other identifying de- debts, debts and debits and credits um, to give an account for their in this estate in this deed conveyance. So you not even understanding that they're making an estate transaction in the background. That's exactly what's going on.